Welcome to Tech Blueprint, a window that lets you know the latest technology news in the world. Semiconductor Cold War escalates, US tariffs hit, China chip backhandedly pulls out the trump card of debeautification. 25% tariff nuclear bomb explodes $1 trillion gap. Global chip factories staged a battle royale overnight. Kill 1,000 enemies. Lose 800 of your own. This saying is more fragile than TSMC's 3nm wafer in the Sino-US chip tariff war. In the early morning of March 15, 2025, Washington threw a heavy bomb of 25% tariff on Chinese semiconductors, and the Chinese Ministry of Commerce backhandedly imposed a 300% retaliatory tariff on Micron chips. This digital Pearl Harbor incident made the global chip industry chain like a cat whose tail was stepped on, and the hair index rushed to the top of the hot search list. Looking back at this tariff strangulation war, it is a real-life version of the Hunger Games. From Trump's first shot at China's 34 billion chip products in 2018, to Biden's inclusion of 14nm equipment in the export blacklist in 2023, to the current wave of indiscriminate attacks, the United States has turned tariffs into a mace in the technology war. The most amazing thing is that there are some tricks hidden in this list. Even second-hand lithography machine accessories will be taxed, which made the scalpers in Shenzhen Huaqiangbei curse. This is not even letting go of electronic waste. But what really makes the industry tremble is the chain collapse caused by the butterfly effect. The stock price of Samsung Semiconductor in South Korea was circuit breaker in half an hour. 2,000 workers at TSMC's Arizona factory petitioned collectively, and the EUV lithography machine orders of ASML in the Netherlands were cut by 37%. Even analysts on Wall Street in New York were confused. How can this be a trade war? It is clearly filling the grave of its own technological hegemony. The question is, when the cost of chip manufacturing is more volatile than Bitcoin, and when 62% of the global semiconductor trade flow is blocked by the tariff dam, will this digital world war make mankind regress to the abacus era? The story starts from a sleepless night in Chang'an Town, Dongguan. At 3 o'clock in the morning on March 16, Lao Chen, the owner of the world's largest mobile phone foundry, stared at the 100,000 American radio frequency chips that had just been seized by the customs, and his eyes were red enough to be used as traffic lights. Each chip has to pay an extra 160 yuan in tariffs, and this batch of goods will lose money. He grabbed the phone and yelled, "Push the production capacity of the Vietnamese factory to the maximum for me." In San Jose, California, Qualcomm CEO Amorn was bombarded with emails from Chinese customers. If you raise the price of Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 again, Xiaomi will switch to MediaTek. A magical plot is unfolding in the supply chain. On March 18, Zhengzhou Foxconn suddenly announced an emergency recruitment of 50,000 workers. Apple required that all RF modules of iPhone 17 be replaced with domestic solutions. Chiang, the production line leader, looked at the densely packed Yangtze River storage and Zhuo Shengwei logos on the drawings, and thought he had entered the Huaqiangbei Shanghai workshop in a trance. The real critical hit came from South Korea. On March 20, Samsung's Crown Prince Lee Jae-yong flew directly to Beijing on a special plane, with a special version 5nm chip technology transfer agreement in his suitcase. This guy made a harsh statement at the Diaoyutai State Guesthouse. Samsung's DRAM can be 100% free of American technology. Micron CEO Sanjay Mehrotra was so angry that he tweeted, "This is a naked technological defection." But the climax is hidden in the underground laboratory of Changshan in Hefei. When the U.S. Department of Commerce's ban was announced, engineer Lao Wang was leading his team to debug the domestically produced 28nm lithography machine. In the darkness of the sudden power outage, the domestic ion implanter actually relied on backup batteries to complete the key process. Fuck ASML. The cheers that broke out in the darkness scared away the cherry blossoms outside the window. When the sun rose on April Fool's Day, April 1st, the global chip market had been changed so much that even its mothers couldn't recognize it. Among the smuggled chips seized by Shenzhen customs, there were fakes engraved with Made in Vietnam. A 1,000-meter-long car lined up at the gate of TSMC's Nanjing factory, all American customers, who came to buy a duty-free technology. The real winner may be Malaysia. This former gathering place of wire factories suddenly had 12 chip packaging factories. Abdul, a taxi driver in Penang, recently changed his career to become a technical headhunter. He has the direct phone numbers of MediaTek and SMIC HR saved in his mobile phone. Whenever he meets them, he asks them, "Can you use a welding gun?" The daily salary is 3,000 Malaysian ringgit. As for the batch of Chinese memory chips stuck in the port of Los Angeles, they have recently had a fantasy adventure. A Silicon Valley startup transformed them into blockchain mining machines and put them on eBay to sell Tariff commemorative editions. The most amazing thing is that the mining machine automatically plays My Chinese Heart when running points, which made the FBI so angry that it interviewed the seller overnight. This Tariff nuclear explosion seems to be an economic confrontation, but in fact it is an emergency landing of human digital civilization. When the United States waved the technological Iron Curtain to cut the industrial chain, China used the national system to lay the foundation for debeautification. The global semiconductor industry is verifying Einstein's prophecy in Blood and Tears. In the Fourth World War, humans can only throw stones at each other. Those Malay guys who solder chips on the assembly line in Penang and those engineers who eat instant noodles in the basement of Hefei may not realize that they are rewriting history. The most profound revelation of this chaos is that when technological hegemony meets geopolitics, no matter how sophisticated the chips are, they cannot resist the stupidity of human beings harming each other. Just like Morris Chang said, globalization is dead, but it may not be globalization that is dead, but the greed of some people who want to monopolize the fruits of technology. So don't just stare at the rise and fall of stock prices and curse. The most absurd thing about this game is that it not only exploded the hardcore strength of China's chips, but also forced Samsung and TSMC to stage infernal affairs, and accidentally let Southeast Asia pick up a big gift package for technological upgrades. When the sea breeze of Penang blew through the newly completed dust-free workshop, China finally saw clearly that the end of the semiconductor war was not in the White House's sanctions list, but in every link of the supply chain.